Walter Lindquist weighed the ring twice. The second weighing was for the cameras. He could not read the Korean writing inside the band. He did not need to. $12. Listen, K-Fam, I need you to look at this woman. She is 32 years old. She is standing on Vermont Avenue with $12 in her zipper pocket and two children waiting on a bus bench. She just sold her wedding ring to a man who could not pronounce the word engraved inside it. And she did not blink. IU. The women who do not blink are the ones the story is actually about. 3 months later, on a freezing Sunday night just past 9, a black Mercedes Maybach stops in front of her walk-up. A man in a long black overcoat climbs the stairs without rushing. She unlatches the door with a steak knife behind her back. She does not look at his face. She looks at the right side of his neck, and the koi fish climbing up toward his ear stops her breath. The bag of groceries he is carrying, milk, soup, a small frozen pizza, falls to the floor between them. He came expecting a widow. He found a woman who learned to live without him, and then she finds out who really wanted her widowed in the first place. Before starting the story, comment down below where you are watching from and what time it is there. If stories of karma, love, and hidden truths move you, leave a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click join to become a member and help our channel. Walter Lindquist weighed the ring twice. The second weighing was for the cameras. Naomi Caldwell stood on the customer side of the glass counter in the Lindquist Pawn and Loan on Vermont Avenue and watched him do it. Her hands stayed inside the pockets of her camel trench coat. She had decided in the bodega across the street, 3 minutes ago, that she would not let him see her hands shake. So the hands went into the pockets and they stayed there. Walter sets the ring on the scale a third time. He frowned at the band. Then he picked it up, turned it under the magnifying lamp clipped to the counter, and squinted at the engraving on the inside curve. 2 characters, Korean. He didn't read Korean. He read the price chart taped to his register and decided what the characters meant for his offer. $12. Naomi did not blink. She had practiced not blinking on the walkover. On the corner of 7th and Vermont, she had stopped and looked up at a billboard for a bail bondsman and rehearsed it. The face that did not move. The face that did not let a man take more than he was already taking. 12. Walter slid a small gray envelope and a single 10 and 2 singles across the counter. He kept the ring on his side. He did not apologize. Naomi took the bills. She folded them once, then again, and put them in the inside pocket of her coat, the one with the zipper. She turned. She walked the 7 steps to the door. The little bell at the top of the frame rang once when she opened it and once when she let it close behind her. On the sidewalk, Vivian Hollis was sitting on the bus bench with Noah on her lap. Eli was standing on the bench next to her, holding the bench's metal armrest with both hands, watching her mother come out of the shop. Eli's mustard yellow puffer jacket was zipped up to her chin. Her braids hung over the front of it. She did not say anything. She looked at her mother's left hand, and her mother had remembered to put both hands in the pockets. And so the only thing Eli could see was the coat. "You good, honey," Vivian said. Not a question. A small statement of solidarity from a woman who had worked 12 hours of overnight intake at Hollywood Presbyterian and was supposed to be in bed. "I'm good. You need me to walk back with you?" "I'm good, Viv, thank you. Go sleep." Vivian looked at her for 2 more seconds. Then she stood up, hoisted Noah onto her hip, kissed the top of his head, set him down beside Eli, and walked toward the bus stop on the corner without looking back. She had learned, in the 11 weeks since the funeral with no body, that the kindest thing she could do for Naomi was not turn around. "Listen, K-Fam, let me stop us right here. I want you to look at this woman, K-Fam. She is 32 years old. She is standing on Vermont Avenue with $12 in her zipper pocket and 2 children waiting on a bench. She just sold her wedding ring. The wedding ring with the Korean writing inside that nobody in that pawn shop could read. And she didn't cry. She didn't beg. She didn't ask for 15. She took the 12 and she walked out. And I'm telling you right now, I do hair and nails for a lot of women in this Koreatown. Every kind of woman. Rich, poor, married, widowed, lying to themselves about which one they are. And the women who don't blink are the dangerous ones, K-fam. Mark my words. The women who don't blink are the ones the story is actually about. Now stay with me. Because what she does next is the thing that's going to break my heart. Naomi crossed Vermont with both kids holding her right hand. 2 blocks. 3. The wind came up the avenue from the south and pushed at the back of her coat. She walked them past the bus stop. She did not get on a bus. The bus was $1.75 each way, $3.50 round trip, and the apartment was a mile from here, and a mile was free. They walked. At the corner of 8th, she stopped at the bodega. She bought a half-gallon of whole milk, 2 cans of Campbell's tomato soup, and a small frozen pepperoni pizza in a square box. The cashier, an older Mexican man named Hector, who had known her face for 2 years, rang it up at $11.41. He looked at the $12 on the counter and looked at her. He punched a button on the register. The total changed to $10.99. My promotion, he said. He didn't smile. Naomi looked at him. She wanted to argue. She did not. She nodded once. She took her change, $1.01, and she put the change in Eli's small hand, because the dollar was Eli's. The dollar was always Eli's. They walked the last 6 blocks home. The apartment was on Alvarado, 3rd floor, walk up. The eviction notice had been taped to the door 8 days ago. Naomi had taken it down on day 3, folded it into eighths, and put it inside the kitchen drawer with the takeout menus. But the rectangle of stickier paint underneath was still visible at eye level when she put the key in the lock. Eli looked at the rectangle. Eli did not say anything about the rectangle. Eli had learned to not say things about rectangles. Inside, the radiator clanged once when Naomi turned it up. The thermostat was a lie. The second bedroom got cold no matter what the dial said. Naomi put Noah down on the rug with his fox plushie. She put the groceries on the counter. She put the milk in the refrigerator. She turned on the oven for the pizza. She put a pot of water on the front burner for the macaroni she had not bought, because she had 3 boxes of macaroni from the food bank still in the cupboard, and the kids liked the cheap kind better anyway. While the oven preheated, she sat down on the linoleum next to Noah. She picked up the fox. She walked the fox across the rug to Noah's stomach and made it sit on his stomach. Noah laughed. The laugh was a real laugh. It was the first real thing in the apartment all day, in the closet behind her, and she did not turn around to look at it, because she had a rule about not turning around to look at it before dinner. Was a charcoal gray turtleneck sweater she had never washed. The kids ate pizza and tomato soup at the kitchen table. Eli ate 2 slices. Noah ate the cheese off 1 slice and asked for more pizza, and Naomi said the rest was for tomorrow. And Eli looked at her mother across the table, the way Eli had been looking at her mother across tables for 11 weeks, and quietly slid her own 3rd slice, the one she had not yet started, onto Noah's plate. Naomi did not eat. She drank coffee. She had said earlier in the evening that she had eaten a big lunch at the publisher's office in Koreatown. She had not been to the publisher's office in Koreatown. She had not eaten lunch. Hold on, K-fam. Stop. I have to say something, IU. The way she lied about lunch, I cried, K-fam. I'm telling you, I cried recording this. Because every black mother watching this video right now is nodding at her screen. Every single one. We know that lie, girl. We invented that lie. I ate at work. I had a big breakfast. I'm not really hungry, honey. On everything I love, I have heard my own mother say all 3 of those lies in the same week. Stay with me, K-fam, because this woman is about to be tested in a way nobody saw coming. Eli took her bath at 7. Noah took his at 7:15. Naomi read them both the same book they had read every night for 2 weeks, because it was the only library book she had not yet returned. The book was about a small bear who could not sleep until his father came home. Eli stopped Naomi at page 11, which she did every night now, and said, Mom, you can skip this part. And Naomi skipped page 11. She put them in the bed together. The bedroom radiator clanged twice. She closed the door halfway. She sat at the kitchen table with the laptop Min Jung-yoon had lent her, a 6-year-old MacBook with a sticker of a small cartoon rabbit on the corner. And she opened the file she had been working on since Thursday. 12 pencil illustrations for a children's book about a Korean grandmother and a tiger. Min Jung was paying her $40 per illustration. The full job was $480. The first 80 had landed in her checking account on Monday. The remaining 400 would land in 4 installments tied to delivery dates. The last installment would land on the 18th. The eviction took effect on the 17th. She did the math in her head. The math was bad. The math had been bad since the day she opened the Chase.com app and saw the joint accounts had been frozen by the bank for regulatory review pending estate clarification. She had spent the first 3 weeks of widowhood on hold with the bank. She had spent the 4th week being told by a probate lawyer in a Wilshire office that without a body, without a will, without joint titles in her name only, she was looking at 6 to 9 months of court before any of it released. She had walked out of his office with a printed sheet of his rates clipped to the front of his card and had thrown both into the trash can on the corner of Wilshire and La Brea. The wedding ring had been the last solid object she owned that nobody else could put a lien on. She finished illustration number 5 at 11:15 and saved it. She closed the laptop. She turned off the kitchen light. She walked to the bedroom door, opened it, looked at the 2 small dark shapes under the blanket, listened to Nota breathe through his mouth, the way Seok-jin used to breathe through his mouth, closed the door and went into her own bedroom. She did not turn around to look at the closet. She got into the bed in her clothes, on top of the comforter, and she did not move for 47 minutes. Then she got up, walked to the closet, opened it, took the charcoal gray turtleneck off the hanger, lay back down on the bed, put the sweater across her face, and waited for the smell to leave her alone. It did not leave her alone. Outside on Alvarado, a car horn honked twice, and a man yelled something in Spanish at someone else who yelled something back in Spanish. Naomi did not hear either of them. The next 5 days were the same 5 days. Tuesday, she delivered illustrations 6 and 7 to Min Jung at the office above the tea shop on 6th Street. Min Jung paid her $80 in cash from a small steel box she kept locked in her bottom desk drawer. Min Jung did not ask her how she was. Min Sung said only, "The tiger should be a little less afraid in number 7. He is a tiger." Naomi laughed for the first time in 9 days and walked back to the bus stop on Vermont with the $80 folded inside her zipper pocket. Wednesday and Thursday, she stayed in the apartment. She did the laundry in the basement. She used the $8 to wash 4 loads. The radiator clanged. Eli read 3 chapters of a chapter book to Noah on the rug. Noah ate 2 bananas and half a sleeve of saltine crackers and asked twice when Daddy was coming home. And the second time, Naomi told him Daddy had gone on a long trip and would not be back, and Eli looked up from her book and did not say anything. Friday, she called the boutique architecture firm in Echo Park, where she had worked for 4 years before she had Noah. The senior partner, a man named Greg, told her the position had been filled 6 months ago and they were not currently hiring. She thanked him. She hung up. She sat in the kitchen chair for 19 minutes without moving. Then she called the other firm in Silver Lake she used to draft contract work for. The receptionist took a message. The callback never came. She walked to the bathroom's mirror at 6 in the evening on Friday and looked at her own face. Her cheeks were sharper than they had been in August. Her collarbones had come back the way they had come back the year. She was 23 and could not afford rent on her studio in Crenshaw. She put her hands on the sides of her face and pressed gently inward, the way she used to do as a teenager when she wanted to remember the shape of herself and she stood there with her hands on her face and her eyes closed for 2 minutes. Eli walked in to use the toilet and stopped in the doorway, and Naomi opened her eyes, and Eli looked at her mother's reflection in the mirror and said, very quietly, "Your face is okay, Mom." Then Eli walked out and closed the door behind her. Saturday, she took the kids to MacArthur Park. They fed pigeons with half a slice of stale bread. Noah laughed at a man with a saxophone, playing for tips by the fountain. Eli sat very still on the bench and watched 2 old Korean men play a slow game of Baduk on a portable board. And on the walk home, she asked Naomi what the white and black stones meant. And Naomi told her the truth, which was that she did not know. Sunday, she made macaroni and cheese for dinner, because it was Sunday, and Sunday was the night Seokjin used to cook. And she had decided early in the morning of the first Sunday after the funeral that she would not let Sunday become the saddest day of the week. She would protect Sunday. The macaroni was from the food bank. The cheese powder was the cheap kind in the orange packet. Noah loved it. She was wiping mac and cheese off Noah's right cheek with a damp paper towel at 9:04 p.m. On the 11th Sunday, when the headlights came up, Alvarado Street, and stopped in front of her building. She saw them through the front window, long, low headlights, the shape of a car too big and too quiet for her block. She moved without thinking. She picked Noah up off his chair, set him on the floor, and walked the 3 steps to the window. She pulled the curtain back 1 inch. A black Mercedes Maybach. 3 months ago, she had ridden in the back of a black Mercedes Maybach to a Korean restaurant in Beverly Hills with her husband. And the driver had opened the door for her, and the driver had called her Sejongnim. She had not been in a car like that since. Tonight, there was no driver opening the door. The back passenger door opened from the inside. A man got out. He was tall. He wore a long black overcoat that fell below the knees. He closed the car door behind him with one hand. He stood on the sidewalk for 2 seconds, looked up at her building, and then walked up the front steps. Eli. Naomi's voice came out clean and quiet. "Take your brother, go to my bedroom, lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me." Eli did not ask. Eli stood up from her chair, walked to Noah, took Noah by the hand, walked the 2 of them down the small hallway, and the bedroom door closed. The lock clicked. Naomi moved to the kitchen drawer. She opened it. She took out the steak knife with the brown wood handle. She put the knife behind her back, the blade flat against the small of her spine, the handle in her right hand. Knock, knock, knock. 3 knocks. Slow, spaced. The knock of a man who was not in a hurry and who knew the door would open. Naomi walked to the door. She put her left hand on the chain. She undid the chain. She put her left hand on the deadbolt. She turned the deadbolt. She put her left hand on the knob. She opened the door 6 inches. The man in the long black overcoat stood on her landing. He was carrying a brown paper grocery bag in his left hand. The top of the bag was rolled down twice. Through the opening, she could see the white plastic gallon cap of a half-gallon of milk, the red rim of a can of Campbell's tomato soup, and the square corner of a small frozen pepperoni pizza. She did not look at his face first. She looked at the right side of his neck, above the collar of the black overcoat, because that was where her eyes had been trained for the better part of a decade, to look first when she opened a door to a man in black. And what she saw there was a single black ink koi fish climbing upward toward the underside of his right ear, mouth open, as if it were breaking the surface of water. Ayu. K-fam, stop the video. Are you seeing this? The tattoo, the koi. The same koi I'm thinking of, K-fam. I knew it. I felt it in my chest before she even looked at his face. Omo, my K-girls, I need a minute. Because I have done nails for a Korean man with a koi exactly like that. I'm not going to say which Beverly Hills mansion, I'm not crazy, but I know that tattoo, and I know what that tattoo means in that family. Stay with me, sis, because she's about to look up, and what comes out of her mouth in the next 30 seconds is going to decide the rest of this woman's life. The brown paper grocery bag in the man's left hand was the bag he had bought 4 blocks east of, here at a Korean market on Olympic, which he had walked into 38 minutes ago and bought from memory. Because 9 years ago, he had stood in that same market at the same shelf and learned from her exactly what brand of frozen pizza their daughter would later refuse to eat the crust of. Naomi looked up. His face was thinner than she remembered. His jaw was tighter. There was a small new scar above his left eyebrow that had not been there in August. His eyes were the same eyes. His mouth opened. He did not speak. Her right hand, the one with the steak knife behind her back, did not move. Her left hand, the one on the doorknob, did not move. The chain hung loose against the frame. Behind her in the hallway, very small and very faint, the lock on her bedroom door clicked open. A 6-year-old girl in bare feet and pajamas walked the 4 steps from the bedroom doorway to the edge of the living room, stopped, and looked past her mother at the man in the black overcoat with the koi on his neck and the brown paper grocery bag in his left hand. The grocery bag slipped from his fingers. The half-gallon of milk hit the wood floor of Naomi's landing first. The can of tomato soup rolled out behind it. The small, frozen pepperoni pizza in its square cardboard box slid out last and stopped against the toe of his polished black Chelsea boot. Naomi did not look at the floor. She looked at her daughter. Eli's eyes were on the koi. Naomi held the door open with her left hand and the steak knife with her right. Seok-jin Han looked down at the grocery bag on the floor, then back up at his daughter standing barefoot in pajamas at the edge of the living room. Eli, he said her name once. The way a man says a name he has repeated to himself for 93 nights to make sure he has not forgotten how it sounds. Eli did not move toward him. Eli looked at her mother. The look she gave Naomi was the look of a 6-year-old asking a permission no 6-year-old should have to ask. Is he allowed? Naomi did not answer her daughter out loud. She put her right hand, the hand with the knife, down at her side, in plain view of the doorway, with the blade pointing at the floor. She did not put it down. She did not. Step in, close the door. Seok-jin stepped in. He closed the door behind him with the heel of his boot. He did not bend down to pick up the milk. Ellie. Naomi's voice stayed quiet. Go to your room. Take Noah. I'll come get you in a little while. Eli did not look at her father again. She walked the 4 steps backward, turned, and disappeared down the hallway. The bedroom door closed. The lock did not click this time. Naomi did not invite him to sit. She walked to the kitchen, put the knife back into the drawer, closed the drawer, and turned around with the small of her back against the counter. Talk. He picked up the grocery bag. He carried it to the kitchen counter. He put the milk in the refrigerator, the way he used to put the milk in the refrigerator, on the second shelf, behind the orange juice that was no longer there. He set the soup beside the stove. He left the pizza on the counter. He took his gloves off 1 finger at a time and folded them into his coat pocket. The Choi family came for us in August. I know that part. You don't know the part where they were going to come for our children too. Naomi did not move. He kept going. Daehyun Choi had a debt my father did not pay. I was the collateral. After my father died last year, the debt transferred to me. After Eli and Noah were born, it transferred to them. I had 4 months from the day Noah turned 3 to settle it, or watched Daehyun come to this apartment and put the price on our daughter. I did not have 4 months. I had 10 days. You had me. You had 10 days, and you had me. Had you and I had a wife who would not have left this apartment, and I had a man across the city who needed to believe I was dead before the rest of his family came for my family. I made the choice in 9 hours. I asked Tae-woo to handle everything else. Tae-woo was supposed to handle everything else. He did not handle everything else. Seok-jin's jaw moved once. He was looking at the eviction notice rectangle on the wall behind her. He was looking at the radiator clanging in the second bedroom. He was looking at the small frozen pepperoni pizza on the counter. How long has the radiator done that? 6 weeks. How long has the eviction been on the wall? 8 days. How much is in your account? $12. He stopped looking at the apartment and started looking at her. $12 where? In the zipper pocket of my coat, the coat by the door. The pause he took was the longest pause she had ever heard him take. She had been married to him for 7 years. She had never heard him take a pause like that. Pauses were what he did to other men, across tables, in rooms with curtains drawn. He did not take pauses with her. Where is your ring, Naomi? She did not answer. Where is your ring? She did not answer. Where is your ring? It is in a glass case on Vermont Avenue between 6th and 7th. Walter Lindquist gave me $12 for it on a Tuesday. The kids ate pizza. He did not move for a long time. The radiator clanged twice in the back bedroom. Outside on Alvarado, a man yelled something in Spanish. Listen, K-Fam. I need you to hear me right now. Stop the video. The way she said that, K-Fam. The kids ate pizza. She didn't say I had to. She didn't say you weren't here. She said the kids ate pizza. That is the language of a woman who is not begging. That is the language of a woman who survived without you and wants you to know she survived without you. My K-girls, every one of you watching, comment below right now if you have ever said something to a man's face that meant 10 things at once. Because that line is 20 things, K-Fam. Stay with me. He's about to find out what kind of woman she became while he was busy being dead. Seok Jin pulled out the kitchen chair and sat down in it. He had not been invited to. He sat down anyway. I will fix this. You will not fix this. I will fix the accounts. I will get the eviction reversed. I will get you out of this apartment by tomorrow night. You will not fix this. You will sleep on the couch. We will talk in the morning. You will not touch the children before I have told them you are alive in the way I decide to tell them you are alive. He looked at her. He did not argue. And you will not call anyone tonight. I have to call Tae-woo. He needs to know I am back. The transitions in the syndicate. In the morning, after we go to Minjung. The mention of the name changed his face the smallest possible amount. Min Jung-yoon. She has given me work for 11 weeks. She has a secure line. You will call him from there. He nodded. He took off the long black overcoat, folded it in half, laid it across the back of the chair. The charcoal gray turtleneck underneath was the twin of the one she had in her closet. She did not look at the turtleneck. She walked past him to the hallway, opened the bedroom door, and stood in the doorway, looking at the 2 small shapes under the blanket. She closed the bedroom door behind her and slept on the floor in front of it. In the living room, Seok-jin Hans sat in the kitchen chair until 4 in the morning, looking at the small frozen pepperoni pizza on the counter with the koi on the right side of his neck and the brushed silver Audemars Piguet on his left wrist, and he did not move. At 4:15 he stood up, walked silently to the hallway, looked at the bedroom door behind which his wife was sleeping on the floor, did not open it, walked back to the kitchen, opened the refrigerator, looked at the half-gallon of milk on the second shelf, closed the refrigerator, and sat back down in the chair. He had eaten 1 meal in the last 36 hours. He did not eat now. At 6 the next morning, Noah's bedroom door opened. Naomi did not hear it. She was on the floor in front of the door, and she had finally fallen asleep at 5. Noah walked past his mother. He walked the 7 steps down the hallway. He stopped in the doorway between the hallway and the living room. He saw the man in the kitchen chair. He stood very still for 9 seconds, the way 3-year-olds stand still when they are deciding whether a thing is real. Then Noah walked across the living room. He stopped in front of the man. He looked up at the man's face. He looked at the koi on the right side of the man's neck. He looked back at the man's face. Then he raised both arms, the way he raised both arms every morning to the photograph on the kitchen wall, and Seok-jin Han, the boss of the Han syndicate, lifted his 3-year-old son into his lap and did not breathe for almost a minute. Eli came out of the bedroom at 6:20 in her school uniform. She did not raise her arms. She walked to the kitchen, took a banana out of the fruit bowl, peeled it standing at the counter, and ate it watching her father and her brother sit in the chair. Naomi woke at 6:30, opened the bedroom door, walked into the living room, and stopped when she saw all three of them. Nobody spoke. The radiator clanged. At 10 the next morning, Naomi rang the brass bell on the door of the apartment above the tea shop on 6th Street. Seok-jin stood one step behind her. Eli held her mother's right hand, and Noah was asleep on Seok-jin's left shoulder in a way that had not required any negotiation between the adults. Noah had walked up to Seok-jin in the kitchen at 7 a.m., looked at his face for 9 seconds, raised both arms, and Seok-jin had picked him up and not put him down. Min-jung opened the door. She looked at Naomi. She looked at Seok-jin. She looked at the koi. She looked back at Naomi. "Come in." She did not act surprised. Min Jung-yoon had not acted surprised about a single thing in Koreatown since 1987. The apartment above the tea shop had high ceilings and dark wood floors and one wall of floor-to-ceiling bookcases. Min Jung walked them past the kitchen to a small office at the back. She unlocked a desk drawer with a brass key on a black silk cord around her neck. She took out an old black landline telephone with a coiled cord and set it on the desk. "Use this one. The line is not on any registry." Seok-jin sat down in the chair behind the desk. He set Noah, still asleep, into Naomi's arms. He picked up the receiver. He dialed a number from memory. Naomi did not sit. She stood by the window with Noah on her hip and Eli pressed against her thigh. Min Jung stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. The phone rang 4 times. Voicemail. Seok-jin hung up. He dialed again. The phone rang 6 times. Voicemail. Seok-jin hung up. He dialed a 3rd time. On the 3rd ring, the line picked up. Speaking. The voice was thin, calm, faintly nasal. Tae-woo Park. "It's me." The pause on the other end of the line went for 4 seconds. Then the voice came back. "Sejongnim. You are, well, Omo, K-fam. Did you hear that? Did you hear the way he said you are well? Stop everything." That is not the voice of a man whose dead boss just came back from the grave, sis. That is the voice of a man whose plan just collapsed in his ear. I have heard was that exact voice exactly one time in my life, K-fam. When my ex-husband answered the phone, the night I called him from the salon and told him I knew what he was doing with my client in chair number 4. That same tone, that same little crack at the end of "well, Jinja, stay with me, K-fam." Because that lieutenant just told his own boss exactly who he is. And now they both know it. Seok-jin's hand on the receiver did not tighten. His face did not move. He kept his voice flat. "I am at the safe house on Highland. I need a meeting tonight at the warehouse. Bring the books. Bring the access codes. Bring everything. Of course, Sejongnim. Tonight. 8. Seok-jin hung up. He did not put the receiver down gently. He set it back in the cradle, as if the cradle were made of something fragile. He stood up. He walked to the window. He stood next to his wife and his son and his daughter without touching any of them, and he said very quietly, "He thought I was dead. He thought you were dead. He has had 93 days. He has had 93 days. Min Jung uncrossed her arms. She walked to the bookcase against the back wall. From the second shelf from the top, she took down a thick leather-bound ledger with a black silk ribbon marking a page. She brought it to the desk. She opened it to the marked page. She turned it around so that Seok-jin and Naomi could both see the entry. The entry was dated November 10th. The handwriting was Min Jung's. The note read in English, "Ring, platinum band, Hanja inside, Dalawa. Vermont Ave Lindquist Pawn. Acquired same day by buyer in gray 3-piece suit. Cash $400. Buyer ID, TP." Naomi looked at the entry. She looked at the initials. She looked at Min Jung. Min Jung met her eyes without looking away. "I have been keeping this ledger on him for 2 years, child. I did not know I would ever need to show it to you. I am sorry that I do." Naomi reached out with the hand that was not holding Noah and put her index finger on the entry, on the 2 letters, TP. She kept her finger there for a long time. She did not lift it. Seok-jin spoke without looking at her. His voice was lower than it had been all morning. Min Jung. What else is in that ledger? Min Jung walked back to the bookcase. She took down 2 more ledgers and a slim gray folder. She set them on the desk. Sit down, both of you. You will want to sit down. Naomi did not sit. She handed the still sleeping Noah to Eli and gently directed Eli to the small reading chair in the corner. Eli sat. Noah did not wake. Min Jung opened the first of the 2 ledgers. The pages were filled with dates and dollars amounts in a column down the left margin, with names and shell company identifiers down the right. On August 14th, the day after your reported death, $62.4 million left the joint accounts of the Han Syndicate Hospitality Holdings and was wired in 11 transactions to a shell company called Sun Moon's Investments, registered in Macau. Sun Moon Investments is owned by a Cayman trust. The trust is held by a Korean national named Park Tae-woo. Continue. On August 17th, the personal joint accounts you shared with Naomi were frozen by Chase Bank under a regulatory hold request filed by an attorney named Howard Brennan. Brennan is paid retainers by Sun Moon Investments. Continue. On August 22nd, the mortgage on the Beverly Hills residence on Roxbury Drive defaulted because the auto-pay drew from a sub-account that had been emptied on August 14th. Foreclosure proceedings began on September 1st. The property was acquired in a private sale on September 28th. The buyer was a shell company called Roxbury Holdings, LLC. The principal of Roxbury Holdings is Park Tae-woo. He is sitting in our house. He is sitting in your house. He moved in on October 5th. He has been hosting Sunday card games in your husband's study. Naomi exhaled through her nose. She did not say anything for a long time. Then she said very quietly, "He has been drinking out of my grandmother's glasses." Min Jung did not answer that. Seok Jin stood very still next to Naomi at the window. He had not moved for 2 minutes. Continue. Min Jung closed the first ledger and opened the slim gray folder. Inside the folder were photographs. The top photograph was of Naomi, taken with a long lens, walking out of the Korean grocery on Olympic with Eli in one hand and a small bag of rice in the other. The date stamp on the corner of the photograph said August 21st. There were 38 more photographs underneath. Min Jung closed the folder. She did not let Naomi look at the rest. Child, this is not a betrayal that began on August 14th. This is a betrayal that has been in this man's drawer for almost 4 years. I have been waiting for the right moment to tell you. I am sorry that the right moment is today. Naomi did not speak. She looked at the folder. She looked at the November 10th ring entry in the ledger. She looked at her husband. She looked at her sleeping son on her daughter's small lap in the reading chair in the corner. K-fam. K-fam. I have to stop. I have to stop the video. I'm telling you. Stop. Listen, I have been her K-fam. Not the rich version. Not the Mafia version. But the version where a man you trusted to be one thing has been another thing all along, and you didn't see. I've been the woman who found the receipts. I've been the woman whose ex was building a whole second life in the back room. And the worst part, sis, is the second after you find out. When your own brain replays every kindness he ever showed you and relabels it. Mark my words, K-fam. The story stopped being about her dead husband 1 minute ago. The story is now about the man who has been waiting. Stay with me. Because she has not said one word yet. And the first word she says is going to be the word that decides everything. Naomi looked at Min Jung. She looked at the folder one more time. She slid the folder away from her with 2 fingers as if it might bite. Min Jung, yes, child, cancel the meeting. Seok Jin turned to look at her. Min Jung did not move. Cancel it how, child? Tell him 8 tonight is too soon. Tell him my husband needs to see the books in private first. Tell him to come here tomorrow morning at 9. Tell him to come alone. Tell him to bring everything. Min Jung looked at her for 2 seconds and nodded once. Seok Jin spoke from the window, his voice tight. Naomi, what are you? You are not going to that warehouse tonight. He is coming to a room I choose. He is coming at a time I choose. He is coming alone. And before he gets here, I am calling someone you do not know I know. She walked to the desk. She picked up the black landline receiver. She did not dial yet. She held it in her right hand and looked at Min Jung. Min Jung. The number for the special agent in charge at the FBI Asian Organized Crime Task Force in Westwood. You have that number. Min Jung did not answer with her mouth. She walked to the bookcase, took down a small black address book, opened it to a page near the back, set it open on the desk in front of Naomi, and put her finger on a single 10-digit number written in pencil. Seok Jin's from the window was the quietest she had ever heard it. Naomi. She did not look up. You faked your death without consulting me, Seok Jin. I am not going to take your enemy down without consulting you. But I am going to take him down, and I am going to take him down my way. She lifted the receiver and began to dial. Her left hand was steady. Her right hand on the address book page was steady. She had not been steady in 11 weeks. She was steady now. Across the room, Eli watched her mother dial without blinking. Eli had not understood most of what had been said in the office above the tea shop in the last 20 minutes. Eli had understood the shape of her mother's spine. The number rang twice. A flat voice answered without a greeting. Westwood, Asian Organized Crime. My name is Naomi Caldwell. My husband is Seok Jin Han. He was reported dead 3 months ago. He is not dead. He is standing in the room with me. There were 4 seconds of silence on the other end of the line. Then the flat voice came back without the flatness. Mrs. Caldwell, stay. On this line. Do not move. She did not move. She stood at Min Jung's desk, with the black landline receiver against her ear and her left hand on the small of her back, where the steak knife had been the night before. Min Jung quietly closed the office door and stood in front of it with her arms crossed. Seok Jin had walked to the corner of the room and was watching his wife with an expression Naomi had never seen on him in 7 years of marriage. It was not pride. It was not fear. It was the look of a man recalculating who he had been married to. The call lasted 19 minutes. Naomi did most of the talking. She gave the agent, special agent in charge, David Yun, the names, the dates, the dollar amounts Min Jung had just read into the office air. She gave him Sun Moon Investments. She gave him Roxbury Holdings. She gave him Howard Brennan, the attorney on retainer. She gave him the warehouse near the port of Long Beach. She gave him the address of the salon on 6th Street. She gave him a description of Park Tae-woo down to the burns scar on the back of his left hand. She did not give him the name of Seok Jin Han. Agent Yoon did not ask. When she hung up, Seok Jin spoke without looking at her. He will arrest me too. I know. He will arrest me for Daehyun Choi. I know. You knew when you dialed. I knew when I dialed. He did not answer. He walked to the window and looked down at 6th Street. Listen, K-fam, I need a second. I need a second, my K-girls. Stop. Pause. AU, did you hear what just happened in that room? She dialed the federal government on her own husband. She did not flinch. She did not warn him first. She told the man in the corner of that room that he was going to go to prison, and she told him in the same voice she would use to tell him the milk was bad. Omo, K-fam, I am shaking. Because I have never in my life seen a woman do that to a man who has already let her down and watched the man take it without arguing. That is not a marriage saved. That is a marriage renegotiated. Mark my words, sis. Stay with me. Because the next 2 hours are about to test whether she can hold the line she just drew. The plan they made in Min Jung's office was simple. Tae-woo was coming to the apartment above the tea shop at 9 in the morning with the books. The FBI would have a 4-man tactical team in the building across the street, and 2 unmarked vans on 6th and Western, ready to move. Seok Jin would be present in the office on camera to draw a confession. Once Tae-woo confirmed the betrayal on tape, the team would move. Naomi and the children would not be in the building. The plan they made was a good plan. The plan they made died at 4:17 p.m. on the same afternoon. At 4:17, Min Jung's office landline rang once. Min Jung picked it up. Her face did not change. She listened for 8 seconds. She set the receiver down. He knows. Seok-jin turned from the window. How? I do not know how. A contact of mine in the building across the street says 2 of Taewoo's men just walked into the lobby with badges that look real. The contact does not know if the badges are real or not. The contact is leaving the building. Seok-jin was at the door of the office in 3 steps. He did not run. He moved the way she had seen him move only once before. At a dinner in Seoul the year they were married, when a waiter had dropped a tray behind her chair and Seok-jin had been between her and the broken glass before the glass had finished landing. We leave now. Naomi grabbed Noah off Eli's lap. She grabbed Eli's hand. Min Jung pulled a small duffel bag from under her desk, already packed, the way a woman who had lived in Koreatown since 1987 always kept a bag packed somewhere, and pushed it into Seok-jin's chest. Go down the back stairs to the tea shop, out the kitchen door into the alley. There is a green Toyota with a dented passenger door behind the dumpster. The keys are under the driver's side floor mat. Go to my sister's apartment on Hobart and Beverly. I will call her in 7 minutes. Do not stop. They went. They went down the back stairs to the tea shop, out the kitchen door into the alley. The green Toyota was where she said it would be. Seok-jin drove. Naomi held Noah on her lap in the back seat with Eli pressed against her side. They went 5 blocks east, then north on Hobart, then a left, then another left. Seok-jin watched the rearview mirror for 3 blocks. Nothing followed. He pulled into the alley behind Min Jung's sister's apartment building at 4:31. They climbed the back stairs to the 2nd floor. Min Jung's sister, a small woman named Mi-suk, who looked exactly like Min Jung but 10 years older, opened the door before they knocked. She did not ask any questions. She let them in. She locked 3 locks behind them. She handed Naomi a glass of water and a piece of fruit for Noah without speaking. The apartment had 2 rooms and a kitchen. The window in the back bedroom faced an air shaft. There was nowhere to go from this apartment except the front door they had come in through and the window onto the air shaft they could not climb down. At 5 o'clock, Seok-jin called Min Jung from the burner phone Mi-suk handed him. Min Jung was safe. The men with the badges had asked at the tea shop downstairs for her. The tea shop owner, a man named Hyun, who had been in love with Min Jung since 1991, had said she had gone to Long Beach for a delivery. The men had left. They would be back. Min Jung had also left. At 5:45, the burner phone rang. Agent Yoon. The voice was tight. Mrs. Caldwell. We have a leak. I do not know where in my building it came from. I am pulling in 3 agents I trust personally. The operation tonight is off. We need to move you and the children to a safe house in Glendale. I will have a car at the back of the building on Hobart and Beverly in 40 minutes. Please confirm your location. Naomi confirmed. She hung up, she told Seok-jin. Seok-jin nodded once. He walked into the back bedroom and looked out the window at the air shaft. He came back into the living room. He sat down on Mi-suk's small green couch next to Eli. Eli was looking at her father with the same look she had been giving her mother for 11 weeks. The look that said, I know more than you are letting me know. He put his hand on the top of Eli's head, very gently, and left it there. The 40 minutes did not last 40 minutes. At 6:02, 20 minutes before the FBI car was supposed to arrive, the front buzzer of Mi-suk's building rang. Once, long, then again, twice, the buzzer for the apartment 2 floors above Mi-suk's. Then, very faint, from the front of the building 2 floors down, the sound of the front lobby door opening, and 3 sets of footsteps, and the sound of the inner door opening behind them. Mi-suk said 1 word in Korean. It was not a word she would have said in front of children. Seok-jin was on his feet. The duffel bag was on his back in 3 seconds. He grabbed Noah from Naomi's arms. Naomi grabbed Eli's hand. Mi-suk walked to the kitchen, opened a small door beside the refrigerator that Naomi had assumed was a pantry, and pulled it the rest of the way open. It was not a pantry. It was a service stairwell. Down 4 floors, out the service entrance, into the alley. Take the right toward Beverly. Go. They went. The service stairwell was dark and smelled like cooking oil and old paint. Seokjin went first with Noah on his hip. Naomi followed with Eli. They went down 1 flight, 2 flights, 3 flights. On the 3rd floor landing, Naomi heard a door open above them. She did not turn around to look. She squeezed Eli's hand and kept going. They came out into the alley behind the building at 6:06. The alley ran behind a row of small businesses, a dry cleaner, a Korean grocery, a nail salon with the lights still on. The Korean grocery's back door was propped open with a milk crate. A man in a green apron was carrying a bag of trash to the dumpster. He looked up when Seokjin came out of the service entrance with Noah. He saw the koi on Seokjin's neck. He looked at it for 1 second. He turned around without dropping the bag of trash and walked back into the grocery. He closed the door behind him. Seokjin started down the alley to the right toward Beverly. The chain-link fence at the end of the alley was 8 feet tall. The gate at the bottom of the fence had a padlock the size of a fist on it. There was no other exit. Seokjin set Noah down on the asphalt next to a stack of pallets. He cupped his hands. Naomi understood. She put her foot in his hands. He lifted her over the fence. She landed on the other side, on the sidewalk on Beverly, with Eli still on the wrong side of the fence, holding her own arms out toward her mother. Seokjin lifted Eli. Naomi caught her over the top of the fence and set her down on the sidewalk. Seokjin lifted Noah next. He passed Noah over the top of the fence with both hands. Naomi caught Noah against her chest. She turned to set Noah down on the sidewalk beside Eli. The 4th man came around the corner from the side street. At the exact second, Naomi's hands were full. Naomi did not see him until he was 8 feet away. He was wearing a black puffer jacket and a black baseball cap, pulled low. His right hand was already on Eli's mustard yellow puffer jacket. His left hand was over Eli's mouth. He did not run. He did not need to run. He walked Eli backward around the corner of the side street in 2 steps, and a black SUV with the rear passenger door, already open, was at the curb, and Eli's small white sneaker with the strawberry sticker disappeared into the back seat. And the SUVs pulled into traffic going north on Beverly without honking. It took 7 seconds. Naomi screamed. She screamed once, loud, ragged, an animal sound that did not have words in it. She set Noah down on the sidewalk and ran into the street. She ran 20 feet up Beverly after the SUV before her knees gave out, and she went down on the asphalt on both palms. Seokjin was over the fence. He was at her side. He was lifting her up off the asphalt with one hand and holding Noah against his chest with the other. Naomi, Naomi, get up, we have to go. She was up. She did not know how. She was running back to the sidewalk with him, and they were crossing Beverly together, and they were down a side street, and they were at the green Toyota, and Seokjin was opening the back door and putting Noah in, and Naomi was getting in beside him, and the door was closing, and Seokjin was driving. She did not remember the next 9 blocks. She remembered the side of Seokjin's face in the driver's seat. She remembered the white of Noah's small knuckles on the strap of the car seat. That was not a car seat, because there was no car seat in the green Toyota. She remembered the way the radio came on for half a second when Seokjin's elbow hit the volume knob and then went silent again. She remembered her own breath fogging the back window in short, fast bursts. She could not seem to slow down. She remembered Seokjin parking the Toyota behind a closed dry cleaner on Vermont. She remembered him pulling the burner phone out of his pocket and dialing Minjung. She remembered Minjung's voice on speaker saying, Go to the church on the corner of 6th and Catalina. The priest is one of mine. Go inside. Go to the back office. Do not stop. Do not stop. Do not stop. They went. The priest was a small Korean man in his 70s named Father Joseph Kang. He had served the 6th and Catalina Church for 31 years. He did not ask questions. He let them into the back office. He locked the door behind them. He put Naomi in a wooden chair and put a wool blanket around her shoulders that she did not feel. He took Noah from Seok Jin's arms with the same gentle motion he used to take babies for baptism and laid him down on the small velvet-cushioned bench beside his desk. He covered Noah with a smaller blanket from a basket in the corner. Then he walked to the desk, opened the bottom drawer, took out a small glass bottle of holy water, and set it on the desk in plain sight. He did not bless anyone. He did not speak. He sat in his own chair across from Naomi and folded his hands in his lap and waited for her to be ready. The burner phone in Seok Jin's hand vibrated. He looked at it. He looked at Naomi. "It's a video." Naomi put out her hand. He gave her the phone. She pressed play. The video was 23 seconds long. The frame was a folding chair in a poorly lit warehouse. Sitting on the folding chair was a 6-year-old girl in a mustard yellow puffer jacket and a navy school skirt. One of her braids had been pulled out of its band, and her hair on the right side hung loose around her shoulder. Her small sbing were folded in her lap. Her face was very still. She was looking somewhere off camera with the same look she had been giving her mother for 11 weeks. The look that said, "I know more than you are letting me know." Behind her, off-screen, a thin, calm, faintly nasal voice said, "Bring me the man you call dead, 3 a.m. The Long Beach warehouse. Come alone. I will know if you bring anyone else. I will know if you call the police. I will know if you call the ones with the badges. I will know everything, Naomi. I have always known everything." The video ended. The frame froze on Eli's face. Naomi looked at the frozen frame. She did not blink. She did not move her hand. The phone was still in her right palm. Seok Jin was kneeling on the wooden floor of the priest's back office in front of her with his hands on her knees. He was saying her name. She could hear his voice, but the sound of it was very far away, and the sound of his voice was not the sound she was listening to. The sound she was listening to was the sound the voice on the video had made when it said her name, Naomi. Not Mrs. Hahn, not Mrs. Caldwell, Naomi. The way it would have come out of the mouth of a man who had been saying her name in his head every night for almost 4 years. K-fam, stop the video. I cannot. AU, my K-girls, I cannot. I am telling you, I have been recording this for 40 minutes and I just had to stop the camera and walk to the kitchen and pour myself a glass of water and come back. Because the way that man said her name, the way he said Naomi. K-fam, I have heard a man say a woman's name like exactly 1 time in my life. It was my own ex-husband saying the name of the client he was sleeping with in chair number 4. The same way. The same little breath on the second syllable. The way a man says a name when he has been saying it in private for so long that he has forgotten how to say it in public. Listen to me, sis. The story is not about the husband. The story has never been about the husband. The story is about a man in a 3-piece suit who has been writing her name in a notebook in a back drawer of a salon for 4 years. And he has her daughter. Stay with me. Because what she does in the next 8 hours is going to either save that child or break this woman in half forever. Naomi closed her hand around the phone. She looked at Seok Jin on the floor in front of her. She looked at Noah, who was now asleep in the priest's other chair under a small wool blanket. She did not cry. She had not cried in 11 weeks. She did not cry now. She said 1 sentence. He knew the SUV would be there. Seok Jin closed his eyes. He had already understood. He had the SUV positioned before we left Misuk's. He knew we would come out of that alley before we knew we would come out of that alley. He has been 3 steps ahead of us all day, all week, all month, all year, all 4 years. Naomi opened her hand. She looked at the frozen frame of Eli's face. She looked at the small hands folded politely in the small lap, because Eli had been told to be polite. She handed the phone back to Seok Jin. She stood up. She walked to the priest's desk. She picked up the priest's landline. She dialed Min Jung. Min Jung. Yes, child. I need you to bring me 3 things by 10 o'clock tonight. Bring me the ledger. Bring me the gray folder. And bring me the address book. I will bring you the things, child. And Min Jung. Yes, child. Tell Agent Yoon the meeting is back on for 3 a.m. Tell him to bring everyone he trusts. Tell him not to come in until I give the word. Tell him I am going to give him the word. She set the receiver back in the cradle. She turned around. Seok-jin was still on the wooden floor on his knees. He had not moved. She walked to him. She put her hand on the top of his head. She left it there for the count of 3. Then she took her hand back. Father Kang stood up from his chair and walked to the door. He turned the dead bolt. He turned the second lock above it. He walked back to his desk, opened the same bottom drawer that had held the holy water, reached behind a small wooden cross, and pulled out a thin black cellular phone Naomi had not seen him take in. He set it on the desk next to her right hand without saying a word. And he sat back down in his chair across from her, and he folded his hands in his lap, and he waited. Min Jung arrived at the back door of the church at 9:41 in the evening. She came alone. She came on foot from a place she did not name. She was wearing a dark wool coat Naomi had never seen and carrying a leather satchel and the same beaded chain on the wire-rim glasses pushed up on her head. Father Kang let her in and locked the door behind her without speaking. She walked past Father Kang to the back office, set the satchel on the desk in front of Naomi, and unbuckled it. She took out the 2 black ledgers and set them on the left side of the desk. She took out the slim gray folder and set it in the middle. She took out the addresses book and set it on the right. Then she took out a 4th item, a manila envelope sealed with red string wound around 2 cardboard buttons, and set it directly in front of Naomi's right hand. This one I have never opened, child. Tae-woo gave it to a courier 2 years ago in case of his death. The courier was a friend of mine. The courier owed me a favor older than Tae-woo. He brought me this envelope. I have kept it in my floor safe for 2 years and 3 months. Open it. Naomi unwound the red string. She slid the cardboard buttons free. She opened the envelope. Inside the envelope were 3 things. The first was a stack of long-lens photographs of Naomi, going back 4 years. The earliest photograph showed her walking out of the salon on 6th Street with a magazine under her arm and a small white handbag on her shoulder. She was wearing the blue silk dress Seok-jin had bought her in Seoul the summer they were married. Her hair was longer. She did not have Noah yet. There were 62 photographs in the stack. The most recent was dated 2 weeks before. It was Naomi walking out of the Vermont Avenue pawn shop on November 9th at 3:41 p.m., with her hand in the inside zipper pocket of her camel trench coat. The photograph had been taken from a parked car on the opposite side of the street. The second item was a typed legal document on heavy cream paper, notarized, dated August 17th. Prospective adoptive parent pre-filing statement of intent. Eli Caldwell Han, age 6, Noah Caldwell Han, age 3. Filing party, Park Tae-woo, prospective adoptive father, pending solemnized marriage to the children's widowed biological mother, Naomi Caldwell Han. The third item was a single sheet of yellow legal pad paper, handwritten in black ballpoint, in Korean, in a thin, precise hand. Min Jung pulled it across the desk to herself, read it once, and translated it into English without looking up. To the Choi family, there is a window of 9 days, from August 8th to August 17th. Han Seok-jin will be alone at the Highland Park warehouse on the evening of August 11th. 2 men only. The wife and children are not present. The price is the price we discussed in March. The funds will be wired upon confirmation. Signed, Jang Bu. Min Jung set the yellow page down on top of the legal document. She did not speak. Naomi looked at the yellow page. She looked at the photographs. She looked at the legal document. She looked at Seok-jin, who was standing behind her with both hands flat on the back of her chair, and who had also been reading the documents over her shoulder, and who had stopped breathing 40 seconds ago. She spoke without turning around. He sold you to the Schwa. He sold you in March of this year. He set the date for August 11th and waited for the call to come back that you were dead. And when you didn't die, when you survived the ambush and walked out and called him to handle the paperwork, he handled the paperwork. He let the death certificate go through. He froze the accounts the next morning. He bought the house on Roxbury. He bought my ring out of the pawnshop window for $400. He filed the adoption paperwork 4 days after he tipped them to the warehouse. He had 4 years of paperwork, Seok-jin said. He had 4 years of paperwork. He was waiting for the ambush to make me dead so he could spend the 4 years. He was waiting for the ambush to make you dead so he could spend the 4 years. IU. K-fam, stop the video. I'm not okay. I'm telling you, I am not okay. Listen, my K-girls. I do nails for women in Beverly Hills mansions, and I have heard 100 stories of men taking advantage of widows. I have heard it. But this is a different animal. This is a man who planned the widowhood, who picked the date, who paid for the bullets, who pre-typed the adoption papers and put them in a drawer with a folder of long-lens photographs and waited 4 years for the husband to bleed out so the wife would land in his lap. This is not a betrayal, K-fam. This is a hunt. Mark my words, sis. I have seen the obsessed kind of man up close. My own ex was a clown next to this guy, on everything I love. And the obsessed kind has been writing his own ending for so long he cannot imagine an ending where the woman writes her own. And that is what Naomi is about to do. Stay with me. Because the next 2 hours are the 2 hours she has been training for since she was a 19-year-old in Atlanta, watching her mother get left. Naomi closed the envelope. She did not put it back in the satchel. She slid it across the desk to Seok-jin. You will keep this. You will not look at the photographs again. You will give it to Agent Yun when he is ready for it. He took the envelope. He did not look at the photographs. She turned her chair to face him. You are going to walk into that warehouse at 3 in the morning with your hands open, and you are going to let him talk. You are going to let him talk for as long as he wants to talk. The longer he talks, the more time we have. You are not going to fight him. You are not going to reach for anything. You are going to keep your eyes on Eli, and you are not going to let him see you look at the door. Do you hear me? I hear you. You are not going to die in there. You are going to be arrested in there. You are going to be arrested by Agent Yoon for the death of Dae-hyun Choi, and you are going to plead guilty, and you are going to take the years they give you, and you are going to wear the years like you wore the koi. Do you hear me? I hear you. And when you come back, when those years are over, and you walk back into a room with our children in it, you are going to walk back in as a man who has a job and a paycheck and a clean record, or you are not going to walk back in at all. Do you hear me? I hear you. She turned back to the desk. She picked up the receiver of Father Kang's office landline. She dialed Agent Yun. The drive to the warehouse near the port of Long Beach took 53 minutes. Seok-jin drove. Naomi rode in the passenger seat. Noah stayed at the church with Father Kang and Misuk, who had arrived at 10:40 with a bag of clothes for the boy. Min Jung rode in the back seat with the leather satchel on her lap. The agreement with Yoon was simple. Seok-jin would go in alone, on foot, hands open. Naomi would be in a sedan parked 1 block south with Min Jung. Yoon would have 8 tactical agents and 2 snipers in position by 2:30. The signal to breach would be Naomi's voice on the open line into Yoon's earpiece, saying one sentence, "Take him out of that chair." Yoon had asked her, before they left the church, what the sentence meant. She had told him. It meant the moment Eli was no longer in Tae-woo's hands. Seok-jin walked into the warehouse at 2:58 a.m. The warehouse had not been used for shipping in 11 years. The floor was poured concrete with old yellow loading lines still faintly visible. The roof was 30 feet high with metal beams crisscrossing the ceiling. A single bank of fluorescent lights had been turned on in the center of the space. Outside the bank of light, the warehouse was dark. Inside the bank of light, 2 folding chairs had been set up. One faced the loading door, the other faced the first chair. On the chair facing the door sat a 6-year-old girl in a mustard yellow puffer jacket, with one braid loose and her small hands folded politely in her lap. Standing behind her was Tae-woo Park. He was wearing a dark gray 3-piece suit, a white shirt, and a burgundy knit tie. The gold crosspin was on his left lapel. His right hand was resting very lightly on the top of Eli's head. Seok-jin walked into the bank of light, with both palms open at his sides. He stopped 6 feet from the second chair. He did not look at Tae-woo, he looked at his daughter. He said, very quietly, "I'm here, sweetheart. I'm here." Eli did not move. Eli looked at her father's face. She looked at the koi on his neck. Her chin lifted by 1/4 of an inch. Tae-woo spoke first. "Sit down, Sejangnim." Seok-jin sat. In the sedan 1 block south, Naomi listened on the open line in her ear. Min-jung sat beside her with both hands on the leather satchel. Agent Yoon's voice came through the earpiece every 90 seconds, very low. "We are holding, we are holding, we are holding." Inside the warehouse, Tae-woo lifted his hand off the top of Eli's head and moved 1 step to the side so that he was standing behind the child but no longer touching her. He began to talk. He talked for 19 minutes. He talked about the day Naomi had first walked into his salon 4 years ago. He talked about the way she had laughed at something the receptionist had said. He talked about the magazine she had been reading under the dryer and the page she had been looking at when he walked past. He talked about the small white handbag with the gold clasp. He talked about following her in a car 3 days later to a coffee shop in Los Feliz. He talked about the file in the back drawer of the salon, the photographs, the receipts, the schedule of her drafting classes the summer before Noah was born. He talked about the years Seok-jin had stopped paying attention. He talked about the dinner in Seoul, where Seok-jin had taken a phone call in the middle of his wife's birthday and walked out onto the balcony for 46 minutes. He talked about counting the minutes. He talked about how a man who counted minutes was a man who deserved to be replaced. He talked about the call to the Choi family in March. He talked about the price. He talked about August 11th. He talked about waiting for the news. He talked about the moment, on the morning of August 14th, when the news had not come the way he had wanted it to come, and how he had spent the rest of August improvising. He talked about the ring in the pawn shop window on November 10th. He talked about the $400 in cash. He talked about putting the ring in a small velvet box in his desk drawer at the salon. He talked about taking it out every night and looking at the hanja inside. He did not to Seok-jin. He talked to a point on the ground between the 2 folding chairs. In the sedan 1 block south, Naomi listened to every word. At 18 minutes and 41 seconds, Tae-woo finished his speech with a sentence directed, finally, at Seok-jin's face. "You did not deserve her, and the universe agrees with me. The universe gave me 4 years to prepare. The universe gave me 93 days to inherit. And the universe is about to give me the rest of her life, and the lives of those children, because you, Sejongnim, are about to die in front of your daughter on this folding chair." He reached into the inside breast pocket of the 3-piece suit. His fingers closed around the grip of a black ceramic pistol. In the sedan, Naomi's right hand closed around the door handle. She lifted her chin. She spoke 1 sentence into the open line. "Take him out of that chair." The breach took 6 seconds. The west door of the warehouse opened from the outside. The east door opened from the outside. The north loading bay opened from the outside. Agent David Yun came in through the west door with 5 tactical agents in black, and 3 more agents came through the east, and 2 snipers came through the north. The fluorescent light in the ceiling was joined by the bouncing white beams of 12 tactical flashlights. Tae-woo turned with the ceramic pistol half clear of his lapel. He did not finish the turn. He was hit twice in the chest by Agent Yoon's lead operator. He went down onto the concrete floor with the pistol still in his right hand and the gold crosspin still on his left lapel. Seokjin moved out of the folding chair toward his daughter in the same instant. A second of Tae-woo's men, a man in a black puffer jacket Naomi did not know was in the warehouse, positioned behind the bank of light in the dark, fired 3 shots at Seokjin's back. 2 of the 3 shots hit him, one in the right shoulder, one through the left thigh. He went down 5 feet from Eli. He went down with his right hand reaching for her ankle. His hand closed on the strawberry-stickered toe of her white sneaker. Eli looked down at her father on the floor. She bent down. She put her small hand on top of her father's hand. She did not cry. She had not cried in the warehouse. She did not cry now. Agent Yoon reached them 8 seconds later. He had a medic with him. The medic worked on Seok-jin for 19 minutes on the concrete floor of the warehouse before they moved him onto a stretcher. Naomi did not see any of this. Naomi was out of the sedan by the time Yoon's voice in her earpiece said breach complete, suspect down, principal hit but stable. Naomi was running. Naomi ran the block south of the warehouse and the half-block west, and into the parking lot, and into the warehouse, and across the concrete floor, and into the bank of fluorescent light, and she did not stop running until she had her daughter against her chest. K-fam, K-fam, K-fam. Stop. Listen, I do not want to interrupt this moment, but I have to, sis, I have to. Because what you just watched is the moment a black mother runs across a warehouse floor with a federal raid stills happening around her, and a husband on a stretcher, and a stalker dead on the concrete, and she does not stop running until her arms are around her daughter. K-fam, comment below right now if you have ever run like that, or if your mother ever ran like that. Or if you have promised yourself in private that if anybody ever lays a hand on what is yours, you will run like that. Mark my words, my K-girls. The men in the suits did not save Eli tonight. The mother did. The federal agents were the broom. The mother was the storm. The hospital kept Seok-jin for 31 hours. The bullets came out clean. Agent Yoon read him his rights at the foot of the hospital bed at 6 a.m. the following morning. The bail hearing was the day after that. Yoon did not oppose home detention with an ankle monitor. Given Seok-jin's cooperation and the surrender of the manila envelope, and the ledgers, and the address book, and the documented statement of intent to plead guilty. 48 hours after the breach in the Long Beach warehouse, Naomi unlocked the door of the apartment on Alvarado Street. She walked in first. Behind her came Eli, holding Noah's hand. Behind them came Seok-jin Han, walking on a metal forearm crutch, with his left leg in a black brace from hip to ankle and his right shoulder in a sling. Under his sock, the black plastic of the ankle monitor blinked a faint green pulse every 9 seconds. Eli walked the kids to the couch. She helped Noah out of his small coat. She lay down beside him on the couch and pulled the blanket from the back of the couch over both of them. Within 2 minutes, Noah was asleep. Within 5, Eli was too. Seok-jin sat down very slowly in the kitchen chair. He had sat in the night he came back. He set the crutch against the table. Naomi walked to the kitchen counter. From the small ceramic dish that had been empty for 3 days, she picked up the platinum wedding band, engraved on the inside with the Korean hanja for return. Min-jung had brought it back from Tae-woo's salon safe that morning in a small velvet box and had not knocked. She had left the box on the welcome mat. Naomi carried the ring to the table. She sat down across from Seok-jin. She placed the ring on the table between them. She slid it across the wood with one finger until it stopped 6 inches from his right hand. You will wear this when you come back to us, when the sentence is finished. When the years are over, you will wear it the day you walk in this door without a brace and without a monitor and with a paycheck stub in your pocket that came from work you did with your own 2 hands for someone who is not afraid of you. He looked at the ring. He did not reach for it. You will not make another decision for this family without me. Not one. Not the small ones. Not the big ones. Not the ones you tell yourself are for our safety. You will not protect me by leaving me again. You will not save me by silence. You will not love me by deciding for me. I will not. And when you come back, and I am the one who decides if you come back, you will be a different kind of husband. The kind that asks, the kind that listens, the kind that does not put anything inside our lives that I have not put my hand on first. I will be. Then, take the ring. He reached his right hand, the one that was not in a sling, across the table. His fingers closed around the platinum band. He brought the ring to the left lapel of his shirt and tucked it into the small breast pocket above his heart. He left his hand on his chest. Outside on Alvarado, somebody honked a car horn twice, and a man yelled something in Spanish, and a woman answered him back in Spanish. And on the couch under the blanket, Noah turned in his sleep and tucked his small fist under his sister's chin. And Naomi Caldwell sat at the small kitchen table in the third-floor walk-up apartment that was no longer about to be taken from her. And she watched her husband's hand stay where it was over the small breast pocket above his heart, and she did not cry. She had not cried in 11 weeks. She would cry later, when she was alone, the way she had always cried, without a witness, with both hands flat against her face, in the bathroom with the door locked. For now, she watched the radiator clang once in the back bedroom, and she watched her husband not let go of the ring, and she let the silence in the kitchen finish what the warehouse had started. If this story moved you, stop for a moment and reflect. Have you ever had to sell something sacred for $12 and pretend it didn't break you, K-fam? Have you ever discovered, too late, that the man closest to your husband had been writing your name in a notebook for years? Mark my words, my K-girls. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy is not the one at your door. It is the one already at your kitchen table, smiling, refilling your husband's glass. Tell us your experiences and feelings in the comments. We read them all. And if you believe in stories about a mother's dignity, hidden betrayal, and a love that survives as on the woman's terms, leave a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click join to become a part of our community and help the channel.